Hi and welcome to Medical Terminology. This first video will help you begin to decipher how we use medical terminology. It all really began when people started to write about medical science. For Western civilizations, the beginning of medicine was with the Greeks. Hippocrates was a Greek doctor and is called the father of medicine. He was the first person to write that people got sick for scientific reasons, and he wrote about treating sick people. You may already have many English language skills, and you'd be surprised how many you already have to make medical terminology easy, or at least easier. In many languages, not just in English, if we want to give more information about an object, we can add adjectives. In general, what would you call the items in the picture below? Balls. Ball tells us what they are, and we could call it a root word. That is, a kind of basic idea that tells us what we're looking at. But they're all different kinds of balls, used in different sports. So how would you describe the first ball? Easy, it's a basketball. Let's use this as an example. Basket is our prefix. It gives more meaning to the root word, which is ball. Same with soccer ball, tennis ball, and volleyball. Another way we can tell more information about something is to use suffixes. A suffix is a word ending that changes the meaning of the word it is attached to. Look at the examples below. Adding "er" to the end of the word green tells us that it is more green, greener. Adding "ed" to the end of the root word walk tells us that it was done in the past, walked. Adding "est" to the end of the root word cold tells us that it is the most cold, coldest. Are you still with me? Okay, great. Let's start looking at some medical terminology. As we already know, most of the root words used in medical terminology come from Latin or Greek origins. Thanks, Hippocrates. The root word generally tells us which part of the body we're talking about. You can see that the Latin root for eye is ophthalm. That is why we go to ophthalmologists when we need our eyes checked. And if you were looking for the hospital department that looks after your kidneys, you'd be heading to the renal department. So remember our basketballs? We use prefixes to add meaning to the root word. Most medical prefixes tell us details like number, time, position, direction, colour or size. Bradycardia means slow heartbeat. The Brady prefix tells us something is slow, and cardia means heart. So bradycardia literally translates to slow heart. If you've ever been hooked up to a drip, you'd be lucky or unlucky enough to know what intravenous means. The prefix intra means within, and venous is pretty self-explanatory, meaning veins. Translation: within veins. Okay, so we've got our root word and maybe a prefix. So what do suffixes tell us? Suffixes add to the end of a word and generally tell us what we're doing, such as the procedure, or what the cause is, such as a condition or disease. It can also be used to tell us that we're referring to a specialist or individual. Ectomy is added to the end of a root word, means we're removing something. Masto, meaning breast, ectomy, to remove it, mastectomy. Ist at the end of the root word tells us we're talking about a specialist. The urologist is a specialist in the urinary tract. Uro is Latin for urine. Urologist. You may have noticed that some of our combinations of suffixes and root words had some extra letters or sounds in there. These are called combining vowels. They're pretty much there to make the word pronounceable. In this example, pathology, meaning the study of disease, would be very difficult to say in English without the extra O added in. Pathology. They don't add any meaning. They're just there so we can wrap our tongues around these hard words. Well, the Greeks and Latins helped us out with some great medical terminology. It's not always easy for us modern English speakers to pronounce. Much like the combining vowels that connect a prefix with a root word, there are root words that are just not made for our English language. To make life easier, we add a combining form at the end. Gastra becomes gastro for stomach. Enter becomes entero for intestine. So now you understand all the different pieces of the puzzle. Let's have a look at putting some of them together. If we look at the prefix dermat, which means skin, and ology, which means study, we pop a combining vowel in the middle and we have dermatology, which means the study of skin. This one's a little bit longer, but now you've got all the pieces, it's easy to put the puzzle together. Our prefix osti, meaning bone, arthur, which is the root word meaning joint, and itis is the suffix, telling us it's inflamed. Pop the combining vowel in so we can pronounce it. Osteoarthritis, inflammation of bone joints.